curious, like just a little bit more about that conference, because like if it was more than just travel hacking, right? It was more about what was the whole conference about?
Credit.
All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. King's Court, episode number 19. My girl, Polly Profits, and this is gonna be an epic show. Super excited about this one. It's funny, like we always try and give a little intro about how I know people. Sometimes I know them for a while. Sometimes I'll meet them at a conference, and I'm like, "Hey, we need to do something." Polly just like popped up in my timeline one day, and I'm like, "Who is this?" And I'm talking to Cece. I'm like, "Do you know this woman? Like, who is she?" And she's like, "I don't know. She's just there." And I'm like, we both were like, "Oh, she seems like a really cool girl, like blah blah blah," and we've
Aw.
been going back and forth. And I was like, "Hey, listen, like maybe we should do something," because for me, I'm always trying to showcase all kinds of stories from different types of people, whether you're selling on Amazon, whatnot, you're doing an Amazon influencer program, wherever you're at in
Yeah.
e-commerce, I want to talk about it. And one of the things that I love to do, and I've been doing a lot more of it, is talking to more women. So I know it's a thing.
Appreciate it.
Sometimes with women, they're like, "Oh, there's not enough representation. I don't see other women, blah blah blah." And listen, at the end of the day, there's a
Yeah.
ton of women really making it happen in e-commerce, but sometimes maybe those voices aren't as loud as some of the guys. So here we are. I'm bringing Polly
Yeah.
on, and we're gonna get into your story today. So how you doing, Polly?
Thank you for having me on. I'm super excited for this and appreciate you bringing me on. So I actually know you from Miles's group. So we were in the mentorship together for the FBA Accelerator one. And that's where I kind of
Oh,
started hearing
all
your
right,
name
there
here
it
and
is. So
there. But
that
we
makes it
never ever like connected
all
until
right. So,
Instagram and just
so,
kind
so
of
that
like
makes sense,
from
right?
there.
Because,
Yeah.
like, and that's funny too, because like in Miles's group, like my name, the Gap King, like I signed with all that and whatever. But a lot of people they'll be on there and you'll see their real names, and when you get on Instagram, it's like FBA who
A
what?
different.
Like I
Yeah.
no clue who this
You
person
know them
is
as
because
their
they're
Instagram handle,
right,
not
and
the real
their
name. Yeah.
name. All right, so that actually makes a ton more sense, which is funny too, because school. I'm so heavy in school. I got like the number two score on the leaderboard, but I
Yeah, you
haven't
were
been
up
on
there.
in a
Nice.
couple of months. And so like recently I was like, hey, I'm gonna get back into the game, make sure I'm back in the community, because that's ultimately what it's about. But I've been active in other places versus school,
Yeah.
but school is where all the people are. There's a ton of really
Yeah.
great people. All right, so that's
Yeah,
actually
I've met
funny
a
too,
lot
because
of other like ecom
right.
women through there, and we even had a whole little like group community going of other people that sold on Amazon, and it's
Yeah.
always such a cool group when you're all like on the same frequency and then have the
Right.
same mindset, same goals. It's just like instant click.
Right, and that's the thing. I mean, with the community, it's like one of your best assets is to be around people who are like you. We've been talking a lot about it over the last couple of months in e-commerce. It's hard to have certain conversations with people who don't do e-commerce. They just don't get it. It's just like a foreign subject to most people. So having those communities are really special. So all right, with that, so now I know who you are, right? Like now,
Yeah.
now I can tie back to like where everything came
This is
from.
where we met, kind of.
Right, like a click, right? 'Cause it
Yeah.
was funny. A couple episodes ago, there was a woman that I had been talking about and telling people about for like months on end, but I didn't know who she was. Like I was just telling her story because I saw a video on the internet one day, and then she's on my podcast and she's telling this story, and she's telling the story that I've been telling people. I'm like, wait, that's you. So I can put a name to instead of that
Connect the
woman,
dots.
her name is
Yeah.
Courtney. So here we go. We're connecting dots, and it makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense. So first of all, let's just start. I love to give people a sense of origin stories, because that's a way that a lot of people can connect initially, is to understand who the person is, and then we can transition from kind of where you came from into how you got into e-commerce and kind of some of the other things that you're doing today.
Yeah, sure. So I've actually been a reseller since I was 13. And back in the day, it was on Craigslist, if you've been on there. But I've always been really techy. So, like, I would actually buy electronics that were broken fix them, clean them up and everything. So like home stereos, computers, like whatever I could find. And then I would fix it and then sell it at a, markup. So that was like my first job, like around high school, because once I got a taste of making money, like I was kind of addicted and always trying to find ways to make money without having a job, because I couldn't get a job back, when I was 15, 14. And I come from an immigrant family, so like I'm a first gen immigrant, so like I always saw both my parents work really hard. We might have not had everything we wanted, but we always had everything we needed. And I think I was just inspired by their work ethic, but also because they couldn't give me certain things, I wanted to like work my butt off to be able to give that to myself, basically, and then in return help them out with, if I had any left over. But I feel like ever since a young age, like I knew that I didn't want to just be like living paycheck to paycheck like them, and from a young age it was almost like I don't want to repeat the cycle, because they work so hard but they never saw like their money really working for them. It was just like, yeah, living paycheck to paycheck kind of thing. But again, they're like working really hard, and I feel like their time wasn't worth the money sometimes. But yeah, ever since like a really young age, I've always just had that drive in me to find like ways to make money. So that's how it started, and just like flipping items on Craigslist. And then during high school, once I just became really good at fixing computers, like I just started doing it for friends and family. And so my dad was a carpenter, so he did like hard labor and stuff. And my mom had a few tax offices, so she was like a tax consultant, preparer. So she would bring me in to fix like all the computers that like had issues in her offices. And then from there, I was just like, well, I could make money this way too. So then I started my own like tech repair company at like 15, and made business cards and then would just hand them out. But it was mostly word of mouth too. Like I was really, really also involved into church. So like a lot of people at church would reach out. They would recommend me people. Then I had my regulars where they would just call me up for like a computer cleanup every month or two. And I was making pretty like consistent money, as a teenager at that point. But then eventually just made that my career. So like out of high school, I got into college and went for IT administration and like cybersecurity. And that's why I literally had been in IT for like 15 years, working and went from like mom and pop shop to healthcare to corporate. And then yeah, I did that for like 15 years until like I felt like I wasn't fulfilled. And being in IT, that's like a male dominated field. So also like back then, especially like 10 years ago, like there weren't as many women in IT. So I feel like I'm pretty used to being like the odd one out, or like just being surrounded by a lot of guys and being the only girl in the office, that kind of thing. But honestly, like I feel like it never really fazed me, or never really like felt out of place, because I feel like around guys, like I can get along with them just fine. It's not an issue like, oh, I need my girls, but like it is a different dynamic for sure.
Right.
So then after being in IT for so long, I kind of missed doing my own thing, and like having my own business, because that computer repair company that I started at 15, like eventually like I just went to actually get a job, because it was very like inconsistent clientele. And
Right.
every business owner that like faces this, where it could be very inconsistent with what clients are getting, and it's not very stable. So at the time I wanted something more stable, I wanted health benefits and all that, the whole just more stability overall. And that's why like I just went and worked for someone else for about 10 years. And then this was all in San Diego, because I'm from San Diego, so I had been living there my whole life. And it wasn't until like I started getting into ecom that I was like, wait, I could make this my full-time thing again. So I got into Amazon, selling on Walmart. I joined Miles's group, which was really helpful in like scaling it too, and finding other like-minded people, finding community. And honestly, it was so much fun, like to be able to do it with other people, because I tried doing it on my own, and one, it was difficult, two, it felt lonely, and three, like you're on your own to like hold yourself accountable too. So I feel like the biggest thing that I got out of that mentorship was not only the guidance, but the community and being able to connect with other people that were doing the same thing and that got it. Because I feel like doing ecom, you're like dedicating almost all your time, and where your friends and family see you like a workaholic, or like, they kind of get concerned about you because you're like working on it every day, for long hours, and they're like, no, you need balance. And well, that might be true for some people. I feel when you're really trying to build something and you're trying to build something quickly, like, you really just have to lock in, and you have to make sacrifices and sacrifice, having fun with your family, at least in the meantime, while you're building this dream out and trying to make this work. So like, I feel like you do have to sacrifice and make sacrifices a lot more when you do have your own business versus working a 9 to 5. Because working a 9 to 5, we all know, you just clock out, you forget about it, deal with it the next day. But like having your own business, you really, really have to be on it and be on your own ass, because if you don't work, you don't get paid. So like that whole responsibility, you really have to hold yourself accountable. So it helps to have other people doing it. So I did that for about 2 years. And at the time, I also had moved out to Vegas from San Diego. So I basically left my whole life behind. I knew no one out here. I didn't have any friends, family, no connections. And the reason I decided to move to Vegas was actually because I came out for like a travel hacking mastermind. So with spending so much money on inventory, I started using credit cards and things. And then I started looking into the rewards and like how many points you get back. So in order to use that more strategically, like I started looking into travel hacking and just getting more educated on credit, business credit, things like that. And then once I tapped into this world of travel hacking, like my eyes were just like, I could travel for free, like using points, spending money on things that I'm going to spend money on anyways, which was inventory. And if any other people on here like have an e-com store, like, how expensive it is to get inventory and how it's in the thousands. So like really using credit cards for that can get you so many points. And you're basically going on trips for free if you know how to, use it strategically and transfer all the points out and everything. So like that opened up a whole new world for me. Because again, like coming from an immigrant family, like we didn't go on vacations like every year or every summer. And we didn't take family trips. So like I didn't get introduced to traveling until I was in adulthood. Right. But once, I got a taste of it, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, if I could run an e-com business just to travel for free, like that's all I would need.
Right, that would be it. Yeah,
it's just a dream.
It's a game changer. So like, it's actually interesting. I mean, I know a lot of people. I mean, we generally, like, there's a lot of people who are using credit cards, and there's the points, and a lot of people do the travel hacking. But yeah, you're probably the first person I've heard is going to a conference for, like, what was that conference?
Yeah, so it was through Stead Waiters with the Wealth Builders Academy hosted it. So it was combining two communities that were all interested in learning how to travel hack and how to use credit card points to get your free flights, free hotels, how to hit sign up bonuses, and just all the benefits that these travel credit cards offer. But since most people might not qualify right off the bat, whether you have bad credit, I was very lucky because I was always like educating myself on my finances. Like I kind of knew how to get to getting those travel credit cards without messing up my credit. But for some people, like, they don't teach you this stuff in schools. So like if you really don't go out of your way to teach it yourself, like there's a really bad way to use credit cards, and it can basically, I feel like, either ruin your life, or if you're smart about it and educate yourself, like it can make it a whole lot better and just introduce you to this new world where you probably didn't know you could ever even tap into. But I think it just opens up the doors. Sorry, go ahead.
So I'm a massive believer in conferences, but you took it to another level. You said, hey, I met some great people out here. I'm going to move out here. Like, what was it that made you say that these people that I met, this stuff that they have going on is enough for me to go and relocate my life from San Diego to Las Vegas?
I think it was that they made it possible. They made it seem possible in my head a lot more than because the people at these conferences, they were all at different levels of their journey, whether it was building their own credit company or funding company or even just really traveling and getting free flights and everything. But the main thing was how these people were so far ahead in life already too that it made it tangible in my head that like if they could do it, like why can't I? And they even like brought all their cars over, and I'm like really into cars too. So like I think seeing all the supercars just parked, outside the conference, and then just walking around looking at them and hearing how people got to that level and being inspired by their stories, because a lot of them also come from nothing. And I think it's when you come from nothing that you really feel like you don't have anything to lose, so that's when you really go all in on yourself. And but I think that makes it possible in your head, knowing that they didn't come from rich families, they really worked their way up to be where they're at now, and just
Right.
seeing the things that all these people were accomplishing. And a lot of them, yeah, they lived out here in Vegas, and I think just hearing their stories and how they got to where they were really was like a huge wake-up call for me, that if I also logged in and I focused, and those things could be attainable for me too. And it's one thing to see it all in social media, and hear people talk about it on social media versus meeting them in person, and again hearing their stories in person and them giving you the advice on how you can get there too. And then a lot of these people became friends. So before even moving out here, like I would just come and visit and like hang out with them for like a couple days, and we'd do all the
Right.
fun stuff. And they would show me sites of Vegas that weren't on the strip. So I was like, oh yeah, there is more to Vegas than just what's on the strip. So then after basically coming, so the conference mastermind thing was in March. And then after visiting basically all summer, I decided to move in like August, September.
Right.
Because one, like I needed a fresh start. I felt like, I was really not able to feel or live up to my full potential, staying in my hometown, staying to connected to family, friends that like almost like knew the old me and sometimes wouldn't support me in my goals too. So I feel like just all the feedback, of them not necessarily trying to crush your dreams, but just being like, no, be realistic, like play it safe, like you have a
Right.
really
Right.
good
Right.
paying job, like why would you leave
Yeah.
that? And then kind of almost like not seeing the full vision that you have for yourself.
Right.
And then moving to a place where you're surrounded by people that not only make it happen, but encourage you to make it happen yourself. I feel that could make or break your whole like life trajectory basically.
Right.
And
Now,
yeah, I just moved out here not knowing anyone.
and it was also interesting. So I'm curious, like, just a little bit more about that conference, because, like, if a person is like, it was more than just travel hacking. It wasn't travel hacking, right? It was
No,
more
it
about
was
some, like, what was the whole conference about?
credit. So it was all related to credit and how people have used it to basically change their lives. And
Okay.
now there's like credit repair companies that are changing other people's lives, that are
Right.
taking people from, having bad credit, living in
Okay.
debt, to, boosting their score and being able to pay down that high interest debt, have access
Right.
to travel hacking, have access to these experiences. And then there was also people that had funding companies, so
Okay.
people that help other businesses get money to scale, or if people
Right.
want to start their own business, that's another reason they come in and provide funding for them to start their own business. So
All
it
right.
was,
So
I would say
that
those
actually
three
makes
main
more sense.
things. Yeah,
Yeah.
like credit
Yeah.
repair, funding, and travel hacking. Travel hacking is just what initially caught my attention. But then
Right.
from there, like all these whole new worlds started opening up, and then that's where my passion started for it. But I
Right.
didn't really start doing anything because I was so deep in ecom and my IT consulting business that
Yeah.
I didn't really see that as an option for a business until like
Right.
2 years later. Just being again surrounded by so much of it all the time that I'm just like,
Right.
that just to me is more fulfilling.
Now
Just the
we're
fact
going to
that
talk
you
about that.
can change people's lives.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a second, but I want to go back because it's funny, like, because I talked to a bunch of people, and usually, so you got one of two origin stories for everybody. Most people it's I sold on eBay. Like everybody started in e-commerce on eBay. Although
Hmm.
most people don't make a full time or close to a full time living on eBay today. Or the other popular one is they sold candy in like middle school or high school. You're the first person that said that they've sold anything on Craigslist. That's like, that's pretty
Yeah.
wild.
Sometimes even like really whatever I think I could see, and then if it's like dirty or just old, and I'm like, you know what, I could clean that up, I could make it look nice, and I could resell it type of thing. Like
Yeah,
anything that would kind of fit that, like a bicycle. And then I would just have my parents drive me to go pick it up, and then I would just
yeah,
spend a few hours cleaning it up, making it look nice. And even honestly, like the pictures, like just
yeah.
setting it so that it looks nice in the picture, like you'd be surprised how many people buy off or buy just based off that, like just the way the presentation.
Like I haven't been to Craigslist in years, but like I just remember Craigslist and it was just always old and antiquated. Even when they had gotten like taken over, acquired or whatever, it just stayed the same. And I just like, why do so many people use Craigslist? I just
Yeah.
don't get it. But it's millions of people using Craigslist. So, all right. So, okay. So I know
Yeah.
like just tapping in with you, checking in, seeing what you have going on your social media. You've just been talking about the shift, right? So you've been doing a lot in e-commerce. We've seen you do a lot with that, but now there's a shift into to credit. Let's talk about what that looks like. Obviously, we hear the origins of that, right? When you met, a lot of your friends in Vegas, inspired you to move to Vegas. But what made you say, you know what, I love what's going on here, but I actually want to take the leap and start a business in credit?
I think it was just, again, looking at my surroundings and seeing what was needed. Because once I started tapping more into, oh, what's credit repair? How does it really work? I had to fund myself to scale my Amazon business. And then I would help friends also fund themselves if they were lacking capital and wanted to scale, had really good ASINs but just didn't have the money to really go deeper on it. Then I would help them kind of get credit cards or request credit limit increases so that they could have access to more funding too. And then even with like my family, siblings, like I would help them with their credit, and then they would be like, I didn't even know you could do this, like what? And then they kind of were the ones that planted the idea in my head, like, why don't you do this like as your business? Like this is so cool. And like I guess not a lot of people knew about it. I feel like now it's becoming a little more popular, to hear about credit repair, and like
Right.
that even if you have really bad credit, there's things that you can do to fix it in a couple months instead of it
Right.
taking years. And then I kind of started like feeling not really as fulfilled doing e-commerce, because I've always like, I feel like what really fulfills me is like helping others. So like in IT, it was if I could fix your computer or like fix whatever app isn't working, and it makes your day, like to me that's like fulfillment. And then with ecom, I feel like I was mostly fulfilling myself because besides like the community aspect, like I wasn't really making an impact in other people's lives as much as I know I could be. And with credit, I feel that was a light bulb moment when they were like, why don't you do this as your business? Because, like it is literally capable of changing someone's life, especially when you feel like you're really stuck because you're so deep in the hole and you feel like, there's no way I'm ever getting out. I'm just stuck paying high interest debt forever. Like, you don't know your options. So, like, one, I want to like educate people that there's a way out, and two, if I can help them in any way, because I know how much of a difference credit made in my life, from like really opening my eyes to what's possible and realizing that once you figure out how to use credit to reinvest back into yourself or back into your business, it can really be the thing that just makes you skyrocket in whatever
Right.
business you're in, because it
And
gives
that's
you
it.
that funding. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that.
I was just going to say, like, it gives you the funding that you need to really multiply your revenue, because otherwise you'd be stuck, again, saving money for years if you didn't know that you could just go to these banks with the right proper business structure, a strong credit profile, and they'll lend you the money at 0% interest. So it's
Right.
just
And that
like,
that's
you don't know what you don't know.
right. And that's one of those things early in your your Amazon journey that, it feels like it's underlying, just right underneath the surface. Like there's something you're missing, but it's not clear. And when I was starting, I just didn't understand what was going on and how these people were scaling, and it wasn't necessarily something that people were talking about. Now, it feels like over the last several months, I've been seeing a lot more people talking about credit repair, business funding, things of that nature. But still, I don't know that there's a lot of information that is readily available to somebody who's starting their business, or even, so let's say like you get in and you start to figure out like, oh, Amazon is capital intensive, because that's not something you know from the start. And you realize that and you're like, well, how do I get the funds to be able to fund this business, right? Because you put the money into Amazon, you don't get it right back, and you need to
Yeah.
continue to invest to see your business grow. And it's like it's a cycle, and you're stuck in it, and you're at $5,000 a month, and you're at seven, and you're at seven, and you're at five, you're at seven, you're at maybe eight,
Yeah,
and then
and it's
it's like, how do I get to 10, 20, 50? And you see these people doing it, and behind the scenes they got a loan from their mother, they're using business funding, they're borrowing money from their friends or something. There's some sort of capital infusion. um, and so that's the thing that I think is always missing. So if someone's thinking about, like, how business funding can impact their business, or they can utilize it, like what are the types of things that they should be thinking about?
yeah. So I would bigger picture always say like funding gives you speed. So it gives you the ability to really, multiply your current revenue when you're able to inject more cash flow in. And then something to just keep in mind that if you are getting ready to get or to apply for business funding is that it's usually always going to go based off your personal credit, depending on the type of banks you're reaching out to. So you want to keep always business and personal credit card expenses separate. Because the cool thing is that any business credit cards that you use won't affect your personal credit if you keep them separate. So you always want to buy all your inventory with business credit cards, and then that way it doesn't affect your personal utilization, because when you go and request for more funding, they're going to go based off your personal or credit report, credit score, and what your utilization is on the personal side. So ideally, you want to just build your personal credit to where it's strong 700s, 800s if you can, and then don't apply for any more or don't spend any more on those cards for your for your business inventory as much as you can, because then you can divide it and then just keep spending on the business side without having it affect your personal. And banks are going to go based off that personal credit score utilization to see if you can afford to pay back, a $50,000, $75,000 loan.
Right.
And then there's other type of loans that you can get which are more income based. So those are the ones where you plug in your plate or your bank account information. They look at your transactions, and based off your monthly revenue, they are able to give you a loan of $20,000, $30,000. But for traditional lending through most like Chase, Bank of America, it's all about bank relationships. So you want to start a bank relationship early if you don't already have one with that bank. So again, your business checking account, make sure you've had that for at least 3 months with direct deposits hitting before you go and ask them for money. Because if you just open a bank account and then request money, oh, I want a credit card, please. This bank doesn't know you, and they can look at your personal credit score, but they also want you to have a personal banking relationship with them. So
Right.
they want to see like, okay, like we don't really know you, so like we're not gonna lend you $50,000 right now. So that's why you want to start building that relationship, 3 months ahead of time, and again, just have consistent deposits hitting so that they see like, oh, okay, yeah, this person's making money. We can lend them $60,000, $70,000 with a credit card at 0% interest. So you want to keep those two things in mind. Have your personal credit score strong, and then kind of almost like don't touch it, and then just keep applying for business credit cards and using them on the business side, and then
Right.
start developing bank relationships ahead of time, and make sure that you don't like overdraft with them or have any late fees, because all of those negatives are really going to affect you. especially with Chase. Chase is so strict that if you overdraft for $1, they will not approve you for a business credit card, even if it's 2 years later. So you have to be so careful with Chase. And
Right.
yeah, so don't overdraft with Chase, whatever you do. And make sure you have the minimum payments also like set up as soon as you get any business credit cards, because late payments is going to be another one that's going to kill you if you get any. So you will
Right.
always want
So
to set up at least a minimum payment to be deducted automatically.
right. And so, I mean, for me, as I sit here and I listen to kind of you describe, how this works, a lot of it is really just understanding how the business works. And just like with anything, just like you're talking about like being able to tap in with the community or to have somebody on your side who has a really strong understanding of how the systems works, how each of, the different banks, kind of think about a personal profile, and so that's going to be really important. And so for you right now, like so now you're starting to make the transition, and you'll are you currently helping people on the credit and funding side, or is that something you're building towards?
Yeah. No, I've been helping people since the beginning of the year. I started again with just friends and family, and then once I decided, because it's so scary leaving something you know how to do, and that's going pretty well, to just go and pursue this whole new thing that you're not sure how it's going to work out, you're not sure if it's saturated. And, at the end of the day, like what really pushed me to just make the jump is again, like how many people can I impact doing this thing versus doing this thing. And even like while I was doing ecom, like I even thought about coaching, but
Hmm.
then yeah, I just really never, I guess, felt as passionate about that as I did for travel hacking, credit, all of this
Right.
side of things. And yeah, so I've been helping people for a couple months now. And again, just to also build the results up so that people can trust me once I have the results from helping other people. But then, yeah, I was just, helping friends, helping family, and then word of mouth. And so now it's been like just trying to, yeah, build up the clientele and again, help as many people as much as possible, getting partnerships with realtors or other coaches so that, we can help each other out, and I'll give them a referral fee for sending me clients or give them a percentage of whatever I fund their clients. So really just building my community up on that end too, because what I've been noticing is that I'm getting a lot of female clients, and I don't know
Okay.
if it's like a female thing where like because you're a female, I kind of feel like I can trust you more. But I'm
Right.
here for it, I'm here for helping all the girlies get their bags, so or get their free
Yeah.
travel, whatever it is. Like,
And I've been around for a little while, and e-commerce is new, but just thinking about funding in general, home loans, whatever, women are just unusual to me. Like I'm sure that there's tons of women who are in funding and banking or whatever, but I'm thinking back to as like while you're talking, I don't remember ever doing anything with a woman ever, ever. Like you're the first
yeah,
person female that I know in the business, and then I guess technically I've not done any business with you, so you're still never done any business with a woman. But that's actually, I mean, that's actually a great point, a great space for you as you think about it, because we were talking about this a
yeah,
little bit earlier, just the opportunity to see yourself in others who are in the industry, or in this case you're offering a service. And I think people are always going to be more likely to try and use a product or a service from somebody who they're familiar with or can trust. And I think that that's an interesting space for you. So I think that's
yeah,
awesome. But actually, we talked about a lot like travel hacking, but we didn't get into it yet. But you love to travel, right? Like, to tell me about
yeah.
your love and your passion for nature and traveling, and what you usually do around that.
Yeah, and just really quickly too, because it's
Yeah.
funny. But I had just realized the whole like, oh, there's not a lot of women in this space thing, because Ashley Seltz. I don't know. She went to one of the sellers conferences a few weeks ago. We met in Miles's group as well, but she's the one that brought it up. She was like responding to one of my stories and was like, like I'm so happy to see you in this space because there's not a lot of women. And then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, like even looking back to that mastermind, it was maybe like 50, 60 people that attended, and there was only two females there, which was me and my now best friend. But we were like the only girls there. So even, and this was like 3 years ago or 2 years ago. So since then, it's, yeah, mostly been, again, male dominated, but this is where I thrive. No, but yeah, as far as travel hacking, traveling goes, like once I started doing it, like I couldn't stop. And then once I, got into ecom and I was spending a lot, which meant I was getting a lot of points too. That's kind of when the doors opened to me. I actually took like 6 months off of like work and kind of just traveled and, visited friends here and there and just, I guess, just like my travel era. But it was so nice to like just be able to like take that time off. And this was like before I moved here too. And yeah, just really because I love being out in nature. And I think being around computers all day and, with us owning our own businesses, you're on your phone, on your laptop, always on some sort of device. So it's really nice to disconnect. And I've always been like a beach person, but, out here in Vegas, we don't have beaches. So I've kind of turned into hiking more now. And yeah, I just like to explore as many national parks as I can, or even if it's just, taking a break for the weekend, disconnecting from the devices and connecting with nature. I feel like the reflection that you get being out in nature is like healing. So for me, like I always need that reset. I always need that disconnect to really talk with myself, and kind of see where I'm at, where I want to go, and really just have that self-talk about, what's working, what needs to change. And I feel like sometimes we're just so go, 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 go that we don't even pause to really reflect and check in with ourselves. And then that can just cause you to have the whole like brain building up with all these things subconsciously. And then you wonder why you're tired all the time, or you're wired why you get so easily frustrated. And one of the best compliments I can ever receive is when people compliment me on my energy, which you've done too. But I have friends that ask me like, you are never mad. Like, how do you do that? Like, I've never seen you mad or angry or like pissed off. And it happens, but like it lasts like really, a couple seconds if like I'm inconvenienced with something and I just like react. But for the most part, like I really, really am big on protecting my energy, protecting my peace, but also being a positive light in other people's lives as much as I can be, because we can always use more of that. So whether it's cracking a joke, bringing laughter to the situation, like in my friend groups, I'm always like the funny friend and stuff, but I just don't take life seriously a lot of times. I'm really, really silly and immature, like outside of business and stuff. But I feel like you can't be serious all the time. If like you gotta have some fun.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, life is good. So why not smile? Why not be, optimistic? And then the other thing, I saw it was I don't know what was going on, but I saw you behind the turntables, and that stuck out to me because I spent a lot of years as a DJ on a radio
That's
and on the road.
crazy.
So I was
That's
like,
so
all right,
cool.
when you're ready, let's do the collab. I'll be your
Yes.
mic man, and we can pump the crowd up together. So for sure, like
Yes.
we gotta stay
Gap
tapped in on
King,
that.
back to back Poly Profits.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll do it when you're ready. Let's go. We'll go out on a tour. And it's funny. I'm trying to get the Econ Whisperer to go to a rave with me this summer. We'll see.
Yes. Oh my
But
God. That'll be
maybe
so
you
fun.
meet you and me
Careful though,
can.
they're addicting.
Oh, listen,
Once you
I'm good for
start.
that. Like, it's been years on end. I've been trying to go. I don't know. I need to just either get her to go or go by myself. But it's just been a long time coming. That and I need to go to a foam party. Like you in Vegas, you probably
Oh
been to a
my
foam party. You ever
God.
been to a foam party?
I actually went to one this past weekend.
Oh my God, are you serious? I've been trying to go to a
Yeah. If
foam
you're trying to
party
go to a
forever.
rave, just come to Vegas. There's something going on every weekend.
And people are probably like, "What the hell is a foam party?" But I mean, they just
Yeah.
drop foam from the ceiling, like
Yep.
it's a part of the party. But
Yeah, they
I
had
need to go to it.
two cannons on the stage, and they were just
Ah,
shooting out foam, and then they would come out with like a little hose thing and also shoot out more foam. And I was scared. I was like, is it gonna be hot? Is it gonna be cold? Because it was at night.
wait, is that what your first foam party?
It was actually, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
it was their 10-year anniversary. It's called Foam Wonderland. And I only
really
went because one of my favorite DJs was gonna play. Her name's Jessica Otterfred. It's like a
okay.
dubstep DJ, and she's
Okay.
Mexican. So like, I'm just like, yeah, let's represent. But yeah,
Wait, you like dubstep?
yeah, that's bass
Okay.
heavy, like
Yeah.
house too. Cause so like I just started learning how to DJ, but then I've really been. Do you know what shuffling is? I don't know if you've seen
Yeah, I
that,
know what
but you
shuffling is.
do.
Do you know how to
So I've been
shuffle?
learning
Of
how to
course you do. Of course you do.
shuffle for
Wait,
the
you're
last
learning?
year.
Okay.
I mean, I kind of know, but I don't like to say that I know because I compared to
Wait, is there a
like anyone
video? Can
else
I
that
see
I
you
see.
shuffling somewhere?
I'll do it right now. Just kidding.
Wait,
Drop some beats. I'll do it right
wait.
now.
So wait,
Just kidding.
you don't have any videos of you online?
No, I have it on my personal page. I'll have to send you some. I
Yeah,
usually
send me
just
some.
post them on
I
my
want to see you
stories,
shuffling.
and then
Yeah.
they disappear, and there's no trace of it after 24 hours.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, all
Yeah, but
right. You
it
like
was
dubstep? Yeah. So that's
yeah,
another like
dubstep
you're a woman
house.
that's slightly different. I don't know too many women who like dubstep, raves, phone parties. Okay, all right. I like
Yeah,
that.
we
What?
gotta balance all this work with some fun. That's also something I'm learning this year.
Yeah. You're gonna have to show me. You're gonna have to show me around when I come to Vegas. My
I
man,
got you.
Mike is out there, so I go sourcing with him, and then we go party with you at night. And I gotta hit me a phone party.
Yes.
Damn, you doing all the
Yes, we
stuff out
got
there
you.
for sure, for
Trying.
sure.
I mean,
Love it.
I feel like I also get bored easily. So like, if it's not work, I'm always trying to find a
Yeah.
new something to learn. And yeah, for the last year, it's been shuffling. Started learning how to DJ about 2 months ago, and then
Okay.
actually played my first rave a month
Yeah.
after learning how to DJ, which
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
it was like for kids and stuff, so it wasn't that serious,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
It's
it
all
was still a
good.
lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
fun. Still a lot of
That's
fun.
wild.
Definitely want to do it
Okay.
again, but yeah, I'm always just like, if it sparks my curiosity, like I'll just try
Yeah.
it. And then usually most of the time there's been like where I just end up loving it, and then again the people
Keep
that you
going with
meet through that is
Right.
lifelong friends. So
Yeah.
it was
That's the
through
thing.
shuffling that I met my DJ instructor that offered to
Okay.
teach me how to DJ for free. And yeah, we made it a challenge, like, I'm going to teach you how to DJ in a month, and then you're going to play
Okay.
a rave. So are you
Okay.
in? I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
in.
Let's go. All right. Listen, that's pretty
Yeah.
insane. So, all right. Listen, I love the conversation, and now I gotta go to Vegas to get my rave in,
Yes,
and
I
my phone
got you.
party in, and my DJing and my MCing in, and all that. So,
We gonna be
but
busy.
yeah, that's it. Like
A whole
Polly's got it
itinerary.
popping. Yeah, for sure. If I can stand the heat, because it do get hot out there sometimes, man. The
Yeah.
last time I was in Vegas, it was like 105 out there, and I was just like, oh man, this is
It gets up
nervous.
to
But
120 sometimes, which is why
yeah,
I just go on my walks first thing in the morning, and then I'm
yeah,
inside the
and
rest
that's
of the
it, and
day.
just call it a day. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because it is crazy.
when I release this, I'll put your information in the description so they can get at you directly on Instagram. So if you guys are looking for a great person to follow, or if you need help around credit and funding, check her out and
Holla
support
at your girl.
a new woman in the game. Because we don't have enough of them, and I think it's important to help support women in e-commerce. There's a bunch of incredible women in e-commerce, and we're going to try and bring them all here. But for now, I want to say thanks to Polly for coming on the King's Court, and we'll be
Thank you,
back.
Omar. Appreciate you. This is so fun.
Absolutely. Catch you guys later.